welcome back to Fun Facts with Faith. Today I'm going to tell you about the time that Australia fought a war with 20,000 emus and lost. So, the Great Emu War has sort of become kind of an internet meme, but it has its basis in history, so let's talk about it. For some context, after World War I, Australia had a large number of veterans who were given land in Western Australia to farm. And this was land that was already kind of like marginal agriculturally, but anyway, the farmers, the ex-soldiers took to farming this land. But shortly after this came the Great Depression, and a lot of these farmers ended up farming wheat due to government promised subsidies on wheat, which never came, and so this caused a lot of friction. But anyway, this sort of complicated situation was further complicated by the arrival of 20,000 emus. Emus migrate yearly, so that wasn't necessarily unusual, but all of this sort of newly cleared land now planted with wheat was really attractive to them. So the emus basically moved in and were like, yeah, this is ours now, we're good. And the farmers were like not thrilled about this, obviously, and so they go to the government and they're like, listen, you guys said we should grow the wheat because you were going to give us subsidies on the wheat. Now we're growing the wheat and the emus are eating the wheat, help. And so they also had experienced the efficacy of machine guns in World War I. And so they requested deployment of machine guns to deal with this emu problem. And so the Australian government was like, all right, this is a good PR opportunity. We're having this conflict with the farmers. This way we can help them. We can get some good press. Our soldiers can have some target practice. It'll be fine. So in November of 1932, they dispatched three members of the 7th Heavy Battery of the Royal Australian Artillery with 2 Lewis guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. That's what a Lewis gun looks like, by the way. So anyway, they started their campaign on November 2nd, and 6 days later, on November 8th, they withdrew. So, not a hugely successful campaign. And then there was a second round that went from the 12th of November to the 10th of December. That went a little bit better. In total, the soldiers shot roughly 10,000 birds and expended 10 rounds each of ammunition. So it took 10 rounds from a machine gun to take down one emu. And so when we're thinking about who won this war, it is true that the Royal Australian Artillery, wow, I cannot say that word, like sushi. Anyway, the Royal Australian Artillery did not take any casualties, and the emus lost 10,000 of their birds. However, if you listen to how they write about the emus, they say things like, this is a quote from Major Meredith, who was the leader of this campaign. If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks. So, in summary, definitely the emus won. Sorry, Australia. And in fact, for several years after, into the 1950s, the farmers in Western Australia were continuing to ask the Australian government for help in dispatching the emus. They did not mount any further campaigns, but they did sort of license bounties on the emus. So if you brought in an emu carcass, you got a certain amount of money. And that was relatively successful, and then they eventually transitioned to using mostly barrier fencing. So that's the current state of the emus versus the farmers. Yeah. So, in terms of lessons we can draw from the Great Emu War related to military success, I think we can say, joining the very classic never get involved in a land war in Asia, we can say never get involved in a machine gun fight with emus. I'll see you next time with another fun fact. Bye!